Welcome back to the show. The latest news going around is that Danica Patrick is nearing a deal that would bring her to Junior Motorsports, JR Motorsports, next year for a limited run in a nationwide series car. A lot of people are excited about this. A lot of questions are popping up. Do you think this is a good idea for NASCAR? Do you think this is a good thing for NASCAR? Do you think it's good for the fans? Do you think it's good for the racing?
Racing-wise, I don't think there's going to be much change because I don't see Danica coming over here and having a huge factor from racing standpoint. I mean, the woman's only won one race in an IndyCar. What makes her think she can drive a fully bigger stock car? It blows my mind. I don't see how she thinks she can do that. Now, from an appeal standpoint, you've got another hot body. That's exactly what it is. Women are actually will tune in more now because they see a woman competing at the second to top level. They think, okay, she's one of us. We can watch now. You're going to have more men watching because it's Danica Patrick. People remember her, one, because she's, let's be honest, the woman is good looking.
She's not a bad looking young lady.
Two, the GoDaddy commercials. She has the GoDaddy appeal. That's going to work in her favor because they're going to want to tune in and they're going to want to see Danica Patrick because the viewers know she's going to get a lot of coverage because of who she is. I mean, let's face it. There's going to be a camera following Danica more because it's Danica Patrick. They want to see how well she does, how well she races, how good her abilities are. So there's always going to be a camera on her no matter what. So from the appeal standpoint, I think it helps.
I agree with you to a point, and here's why, and bear with me. Danica Patrick is probably one of the most recognizable faces in racing. You could argue for hours of why that is, okay? A lot of the things that you just brought up. But it doesn't, so for namesake and face value, yes, it's great for NASCAR. People are going to go, hey, that Danica Patrick girl, I wonder how she's going to do. So they're going to flip on, the nationwide race at Daytona, and they're going to watch her, and she's probably not going to do that great.
No.
People like Juan Pablo Montoya, people like A.J. Allmendinger, Marcus Ambrose, all these open wheel guys make the transition to NASCAR, and they struggle. These are champions. These are guys that win a lot. Danica Patrick shows up. She ain't that good.
No,
she's not that great a race car driver.
Really not.
So I think that NASCAR is trying to put viewers and put butts in the seats because she's a recognizable name. But what I think is was eventually going to happen is that she's going to get out there. They're going to see that she's not going to perform that well, and then it'll fall off to the wayside.
Here's one big success story to remember, though. One guy who was in Indy racing, then came to NASCAR, and he's been a huge success. Tony Stewart.
Tony Stewart.
Tony Stewart is your one example.
He's the exception.
He's the exception. When people make the jump from IRL to NASCAR, he's the example that people look at because, oh my God, Tony Stewart, he's got a couple of championships. Maybe we can be like him, be as good as him. Now, obviously, no one's going to have the success that Stewart had. I don't expect Patrick to have anywhere near. I don't expect her to win a race maybe her first 3 or 4 years. So they only gave her a 2-year contract. I don't think she'll win a race those first 2 years.
So in one word, Danica Patrick, good or bad for NASCAR?
Good and bad. You can't.
It's a tough question. Good
for the appeal, bad for the driving.
Okay, that's good. All right, well, next week, NASCAR rolls into Texas to take on the Texas show. What do you got for me? What do you think?
As much as this guy hasn't been a factor all year long, he's 10th in points right now. He's over 400 back. He doesn't have a win yet this year. I look for Carl Edwards to win on Sunday. This is the reason why. He swept Texas last year. He's got 3 wins at Texas, more of any active driver in NASCAR. The last 9 races, he's been the most successful driver at Texas the last 9 races. He's got the 3 wins. I think this is the week where he gets off the hook. He gets the 0 out of the win column. He changes it to a 1. Edwards wins. If Edwards doesn't win, though, watch out for Matt Kenseth, his teammate, Roush Racing teammate. An average finish of better than 7th in his last 9 races. But as far as if you're looking for a chase perspective, obviously you've got to watch Jimmy Johnson. As far as the chase drivers go, Johnson has the highest average finish of anybody in the chase at Texas for his career. He's finishing better than 9th per race.
Now, it should be noted that the spring race... Okay, go ahead. It should be noticed that the spring race was won by Jeff Gordon. And it's the first time he's ever won at that track. Roush Fenway usually dominates there.
Usually they do. I don't know what... It's there in Las Vegas, are there 2 sweet tracks. And they're really, when you compare them, they're not that similar to each other. So why they can dominate those 2 tracks is beyond me. But
do you think they'll dominate this year?
I think they will. Something tells me Johnson will finish in the top 5, but Roush is going to have a winner.
Johnson always does.
Yeah, Roush is going to have a winner, and if they have a second car in the top 5, it wouldn't surprise me a bit. But, like I said, Jimmy Johnson, he's got the average finish inside the top 10 in Texas. None of the other drivers for their career have an average finish of inside the top 10 at Texas.
So give me your top 2 guys to watch for. You're saying Carl Edwards.
Carl Edwards is one. I keep saying him every week. He keeps letting me down. I'm going with Kyle Busch.
Carl Edwards and Kyle Busch.
Kyle Busch, just for the fact the kid can win anywhere. He can win anywhere. He's been disappointing this year, yes, but we've seen it in the past. He can win anywhere. He really can. So I've been picking him every week. He's been letting me down almost every week. This is the week. I think he'll do good this week.
I'm going to go with a Hendrick guy. I'm going to go with Jeff Gordon, and I'll tell you why.
Really?
I tell you why. Jeff Gordon has come close to winning this race many, many, many times. He did get his first win there this year, but he has finished second a few times. And he's almost won a few times, but either hitting the wall or something has kept him from winning. I think that team has finally figured out the track, and they're going to take it to victory lane this week. My other person to look out for is Jeff Burton. I know Jeff Burton hasn't run too well this year, but I really think that Jeff Burton is your dark horse for this week.
I would agree with you. Next to Edwards, he's got more wins than any active driver at Texas next to Edwards. I think it's a good pick.
Absolutely.
He's got to have at least one good race this year, right? He's been struggling all year. He's got to have. He's going to have 3 races left. Might as well be this weekend.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to do a new segment to the show. To close out the show, we've had a Facebook page up for a few weeks now, and we've had emails starting to trickle in. So we're going to close the show every week now with viewer mail. So without any further ado, let's start with the first letter. Joe in Colorado says, stop the restrictor plate madness. Unless you're going to govern the cars to go 120 miles per hour at Daytona and Talladega, slowing the cars down by restricting horsepower makes it more, not less dangerous. It just bunches up the cars more and more. Connor, do you agree with that or what?
In a way, yes. In a way, I hate being on the fence with these questions, but it's a yes and no question. Obviously, the restrictor plates, they do keep the cars closer, and as far as from a fan standpoint, they make the racing closer. They really do. And they also make the races safer. They really do. Because if you didn't have the restrictor plates on the cars, you'd have cars out there going 215 miles an hour out there. We've seen Bill Elliott back in the day before they had restrictor plates at Daytona, set the track record at Daytona, over 200 miles an hour. You would have that easily without restrictor plates. And like I said, it also keeps the cars closer, keeps the racing better. You don't have the 10-second breakaways. It keeps the racing closer. It keeps the ratings higher. And it gives you the factor of, okay, Talladega, Daytona, this weekend, it'll be interesting racing, albeit this weekend was a little bit boring. But historically, when you think about these two tracks, you think of hard-nosed, well, not necessarily clean, but hard-nosed, good competitive racing.
Well, Joe in Colorado, I'm going to have to agree with you on this one, and I'll tell you why. I think what NASCAR tried to do is they tried to slow the cars down, thinking that it will make it safer. But I agree with you, Joe. It makes it even worse. What you need to do is you need to make the cars looser. You need to take the wing off, take the splitter off, because what happens is if you slow them down, you bunch them together.
Right.
And that is where the real danger lies, the big accidents. So, Joe, I agree with you 100%. Connor is almost there. For the final letter, this is going to be my final thought as well. Tiffany in California writes, Dear Mark, I've loved Jimmy Johnson since his first Cup win. But I almost hope he starts losing because the green envy or hatred or whatever is beginning to seep out through your eyes. Tell whoever your makeup person is to check on that before your next show. Well, Tiffany in California, I do not hate Jimmy Johnson. In fact, it's quite the contrary. I respect Mr. Johnson a great deal. I believe that he will go down in history as one of the legends of this sport and will no doubt be a member of NASCAR's Hall of Fame one day. My problem, madam, is with the chase system. It is a flawed system and could stand to have some major changes to it. Jimmy Johnson and his team have found a way to play an imperfect system to win. Does that make them cheaters? No, of course not. It makes them smart. Mr. Johnson deserves all the credit in the world for dominating this sport and winning more races than any driver this decade. He's exciting to watch, and for that, he deserves all the credit in the world. I want to thank Connor Fleegle for being here. He'll be here next week when we talk about the race in Texas.
All right, thanks for having me in, Mark.
Absolutely. And race fans, take care.